Next up, we have the update. Update AAPS services and supports for homeless students.
Thank you, President Johnson and trustees. We really appreciate the opportunity. This is a request that Trustee Dupree shared a while back, and we appreciated the request. And our team has been really busy with this historic opening, but we're so delighted this evening to be able to bring forward Alicia Malone. She's there in the upper left-hand corner. And Miss Dawn Linden. Alicia is our liaison for homeless and foster students. She's here with us tonight to share information on how we serve our homeless students. Miss Dawn Linden, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, oversees this part of our work. And it also, of course, extends to every one of our 30 campuses because our approximately 300 students who are homeless populate buildings across our district. So I appreciate, Alicia has been with the district for 8 years. And I was just thinking the other day, Trustee Dupree, that I really appreciated the request because she is so busy. And we don't often have the opportunity to get to sit with her. But I appreciate, Alicia, you being here. And thank you, Miss Linden. And I'll just have you jump right in because you've got the good stuff.
Much. I have to tell you, we're about to have the pleasure of hearing about some really extraordinary work from one of the hardest working people in our district. So Alicia, just know how much we appreciate you. Alicia is going to share a little bit about the process, the purpose and process and current state of our McKinney-Vento and our foster care liaison work. And also it just goes without saying that this is such a significant part of what we mean when we say equity. This is just powerful work, and yet the challenges are many. So Alicia, I will drive our presentation and I will hand right off to you so we can get right into it.
Thank you, Ms. Linden. Thank you, Dr. Swift, trustees, President Johnson. I appreciate the opportunity to be here so much, truly. I find this to be critically important information, and any chance I get to share it is very appreciated. So I do want to start us off tonight with a overview of the McKinney-Vento Act. It is federal law that guarantees educational access for students who lack fixed, regular, or adequate housing. School districts are required to have a McKinney-Vento liaison and a foster care liaison to oversee district identification efforts and to ensure the provision of services to eligible students and families. McKinney-Vento practices are intended to safeguard against potential barriers to enrollment, attendance, and full participation in school. The fact is that families experiencing homelessness do often face challenges in accessing education for their children. For example, families displaced away from their home school may lack personal transportation to drive their children to school, or other barriers that exist can impede the student's ability to successfully continue attending their home school. Unfortunately, McKinney-Vento families also experience difficulty when enrolling in a new district due to lacking required enrollment or educational documents that may have been lost along the way. Ultimately, these challenges can result in delayed school attendance and missed days of learning. Despite a legal presumption that a student should remain in their school of origin where they are currently enrolled, 20% of Michigan's MV students still experience mid-year transfers, and that is nearly 3 times the state average amongst all students. This can occur because families were not made aware of their rights, or can be the case because their district may have denied or failed to adequately support their continuation. Our imperative is to stabilize a student's education in their school of origin and to ensure immediate access to education, avoiding those disruptions whenever possible. The research clearly highlights the significance of maintaining enrollment in a student's home school and the overall need to support our McKinney-Vento learners. In fact, each school transfer a student experiences results in an average of 4 to 6 months of lost learning. For youth who experience multiple school transitions, these educational setbacks only compound further, and it can become too difficult to catch up or overcome these deficits. The consequences on achievement, credit obtainment, and graduation progress can lead to poor outcomes listed here, including that students are 4 times more likely to drop out of school, are 4 times more likely to be suspended or expelled from school. And the statistic that really always resonates most for me is that they are 9 times more likely to repeat a grade if they have experienced homelessness. On-time high school graduation rates for Michigan students experiencing foster care or homelessness range between 40 to 60%. And unfortunately, our own AAPS students see similar graduation outcomes. By identifying that a student is experiencing a situation of homelessness or foster care, schools are taking the first step towards supporting their unique needs. The definition of homelessness used by schools includes staying doubled up, staying in a hotel or motel, in a transitional housing program, in a shelter, or being unsheltered, such as in a car, in a tent, or in a public place not meant for habitation. Foster care placement is also a protected category by law. On average, districts should expect their number of McKinney-Vento students each year to be equal to 10% of their free or reduced and economically disadvantaged student populations. While we certainly don't like to hear about a larger number of students experiencing homelessness, for districts, the larger number is generally a positive indicator of appropriate identification efforts, rather than an actual increase in student homelessness. And looking at our combined numbers of AAPS students supported under the MV and Foster Care Acts over the last 8 school years, we generally land in the 7 to 9% range of our free and reduced, relative to our free and reduced counts. As the goal should be 10% for schools, this likely means we have additional students who are experiencing homelessness amongst our other peers that are not being identified. So we do have a little more work to do indeed. Additionally, in years impacted by the pandemic, schools have seen a noticeable decrease in identification. These would be our last 2 categories here. The trend has seen throughout the state and nationally, and a strong factor likely contributing to the decline is reduced engagement during virtual learning and fewer opportunities to maintain ever-needed face-to-face connections within school communities. Excluding for our outlier year of 2021, those numbers work up to show us that in an average academic year in the AAPS, we identify 326 students experiencing homelessness. Of our 326, 54 are also eligible as unaccompanied homeless youth, 75 have stayed in a youth or family shelter, and 25 students have been unsheltered for at least 1 night. 90 of our students are also receiving special education services. So our school teams may get tired at times of hearing one of my popular phrases of there's identification and then there's everything else. So this is the everything else. These are our services that we are going above and beyond to support our students. By working together to recognize and support students in unstable living situations, the liaison and our school teams collectively ensure students receive comparable and supplemental services. Students and families have access to enrollment assistance and educational planning, transportation resources, Title I services, including tutoring and food, school supplies and basic needs resources, and financial assistance to allow for participation in school or athletic programs and to cover testing or course fees. Specialized McKinney-Vento scholarships exist within the district thanks to many partnerships and are also available funding as well to meet other unmet school or health needs that a student may have. And of course, community-based referrals and advocacy always occur as needed. During the pandemic, our services have had to pivot to keep up with the changing world. Supporting during this time has required renewed problem solving and collaboration between district departments and adopting unique strategies to meet previously unimaginable needs for students. Throughout this, I've been so very appreciative of the efforts extended by many of my AAPS colleagues to assist families, as well as for the additional resources that have been made available through our community partnerships. Additionally, during some of the most trying times of school closure, the expanded food access and basic needs delivery programs that I'm sure we all knew about, and the consistent availability of technology and internet devices were truly lifelines to learners and MV students alike. To fulfill our duties, MV liaisons not only provide district services, but also connections to resources within the community. My work with our students, families, and school teams often involves bringing other partners together to find solutions to the hierarchy of unmet needs our families experiencing homelessness may be facing. At times, systemic barriers and difficult to navigate social service systems can pose substantial barriers. While meeting our compliance objective is, of course, important, the heart of this work is rooted in care and connections with and on behalf of our students and families. First and foremost, I am a partner and an advocate and working on the ground every opportunity I get. And of course, comprehensive service delivery is never possible without ongoing collaborations with our valued community providers. Some, but definitely not all, are listed here. If we have more time, I would love to elaborate on each one, but I think this gives you a good overview of where we're doing the work. The pandemic has yielded various impacts relative to MV supports. As mentioned, schools have struggled to identify as many of their MV students during the pandemic, a scenario which certainly creates a challenge to fully supporting remote learners also impacted by homelessness. Within the community, the pandemic has also amplified the already difficult realities our MV students and families deal with on a regular basis. Our families are reaching out more than ever with greater rates of need for seeking solutions to financial, employment, and housing setbacks and additional childcare and nutrition needs. We've witnessed disruptions for them in needed services, reduced access to resources, and difficulties navigating complex systems. Yes, those very programs designed during COVID to assist those in need. For our MV students with technology and transportation barriers, at home, the need for additional support often manifests immediately with the transition to virtual learning, as school is no longer that hub of access and support, however necessary those changes are. I don't think we'll really be able to measure the full educational impact for some time, but we know increased support will continue to be needed inside and outside of our schools. Thank you. But of course, in order to help through MV, we must understand which students are eligible and who may be in need of additional support. Therefore, key members of our school teams receive ongoing training on our legal and ethical mandates. AAPS staff, as well as members of the community, are supported to recognize common signs and situations that meet the Mckinney-Vento definition. Our collective awareness about the challenges the students in transition face best equips us as a community to monitor and intervene where needed in support of students' education. Thank you. To help ensure we are reaching families, information about Mckinney-Vento rights and accessing services is made available in multiple locations, including on our AAPS website, in posters in all of our schools, and in brochures and posters distributed throughout community locations, including motels, nonprofit agencies, and shelters. Families are encouraged to work with their Mckinney-Vento ally at the school. Every school has a designated point of contact, a Mckinney-Vento ally, with that information also listed on our website. And families and students are always welcome to contact me directly. Additionally, for the last few years, we've utilized a built-in outreach feature during enrollment and registration so that every potentially eligible family is provided with MV information and a referral for services. We are fortunate to have the assistance of many community caseworkers and frontline staff as well who engage in making referrals and connecting families for Mckinney-Vento or foster care support within AAPS. In closing, I'd like to highlight just a few ongoing challenges in this work, both ongoing challenges that we've seen more recently as a result of the pandemic, and as well as those that tend to prevail amongst our populations. First, our school teams do not always have the capacity to comprehensively engage in identification and support with MV families, in particular in these current incredibly challenging times for schools. We also know that there are challenges for some in fully embracing a mindset that recognizes that our students' difficult circumstances outside of school will often necessitate differentiation in school expectations and response. This relates closely also to some of the ongoing challenges facing our families and students who have urgent and unavoidable situations or needs that they must attend to first before school can be the priority for that day. In response to these challenges, some next steps we are engaged in include increasing training to district personnel with a particular emphasis on our commitment to our identification protocols and to approaching all students and families through a lens of care. Our teams in the liaison will continue to monitor for students and families with the greatest academic and well-being needs and ensure services are delivered in a timely fashion. And I will continue to engage with our local partners towards strategies that improve services and resources available to our community families. When families are supported, children do better in school, and this work applies to all of us. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, sure. Dr. Swift?
Ms. Malone, I just want to publicly thank you. And I appreciated Trustee Bescat, you telling that story. Thank you. It is a very emotional memory in the district. And when I said to Alicia yesterday, how do we share with the trustees in the community? When I think of you, Alicia, I think of you in the grocery store, and I think of you at the motels where I have seen you out in the evenings or nights helping families get settled. I remember one night you helped a family move because there were allergies in the family to the room that they'd been placed in. So they were in discomfort, and you went out in the night and helped them get another room. And we're coming into this right now where every year I see you champion that effort to make sure every family is remembered over the holidays, both with all the food and with customized gifts for each child in the family. And so this is just a great night to say, we never say it to you enough, and we're just so grateful for the work that you do for our children and for our community. Thank you, Elise.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swift.